in accordance with General Law 140, Section 157C. The subjects will be discussed at the hearings will include, but not limited to, the following: whether or about Friday, February 11th, 2022, Atlas, a pit bull, attacked and bit an adult female identified as Barbara Carol Conway, just off Denise Drive. Second, whether or not Atlas was trying to attack Zoe, a Chihuahua, while jumping on Barbara several times. 3, based on the first-hand account from Animal Control Officer Donald Walsh, Barbara was transported by ambulance with puncture wounds and bruising on her leg. Fourth, whether Atlas behaved in a manner that a reasonable person would believe and possess an unjustified threat of physical injury or death to a person, or to a domestic or owned animal. Whether Atlas had at any time been allowed to roam free, unleashed and or untethered in violation of subsection 87-17 of the town's general bylaws.
On February 11th, I was called to the scene of the end of Denise Drive for a dog bite by the Ashland Police. When I got there, Mr. and Mrs. Sutton were there with their dog, which was in the car at the time. They went over what had happened, said the dog was friendly, the dog was running loose, and there was an incident that happened. So after talking to them, I did advise them that there is a leash law and the dog should not have been off leash. I had them wait while I went over and spoke to Mrs. Conway, Barbara, and she was in the ambulance at the time. She did have a significant injury to her leg. She had several puncture wounds and some bruising. She was also very distraught at the time. She stated that the dog tried to get at her dog, which she had picked up and put inside of her coat, and that the dog attacked the back of her leg when she turned away to protect her dog. She told me that she was bitten more than once. She showed me the injuries to her leg, and at that time she went to the hospital by ambulance. After that, I went back to the Conway, to the Selby's, and at that point I did let them know that there was significant injury to her leg and that the dog had bitten the owner of the Chihuahua. They still I did meet the dog. The dog was not aggressive at the time. He was in the car. He didn't show any type of aggression to me. I did advise them that I was going to cite them for running at large, and also that there could be more fines coming depending on whether or not Mrs. Conway wanted to move forward with the hearing.
All right, at this time, I will ask counsel who is representing Atlas and the owner.
So I think a couple of things are important first. My clients understand what happened, and they're here because they take accountability for this first instance of their dog having a problem. But I need to remind the hearing authority that you are not Mr. Sutton's jury. So when he makes his appeal to you, he's practicing his speech for the civil complaint that he will file. That's not why we're here tonight. So the adjectives that were used are here, and the reason this was pushed for, there's another side to it. And for her injuries, Mr. Sutton is in communication with my client's insurer because they have insurance in place. So tonight we're here about the dog. We never got an answer as to how long this took. So that will leave a gap in your minds about that. Did this take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour? It took under a minute. My client wasn't that far away from his dog. And he made a mistake that day because he was walking his dog off leash. His dog had no previous negative interactions with people or other dogs. And he has, in spending time with the Selbys, I know that he has laid awake every night since then, replaying that, wishing that he had just leashed his dog, that he didn't trust Atlas as much as he did, and that he didn't make a mistake, because he made a mistake. So this is not a trial tonight. This is about how do we prevent this from happening again. Now, the hearing authority is to make their own decision about what happened. It's what the complainant wants is irrelevant. Certainly, if you were to kill the dog, there's a strong belief in the plaintiff's bar that that would help her civil case, but we know that's not necessary. So the idea of death is off the table because this is a first incident, and as we know, there was not a human target here. By her own admission, she was scooping up her own dog to protect it, like any one of us would do as a pet owner. But let's not get carried away with thinking that this was some type of vengeful, highly aggressive attack on a human, because it wasn't. The dog was going after the smaller dog because that's what bigger dogs sometimes do, and that's why they should be on leashes, because they recognize these small dogs to be prey. So what have my clients done since then? They immediately went to her house a couple of times to try to talk to her and to make sure that she knew that there would be coverage for anything she incurred, the victim. They also met with the animal control officer, who it's important not to gloss over the fact that she said, coming upon the dog after this happened, the dog was calm. And that's an important indicator of dog behavior, because a calm dog after an incident, it shows that this dog wasn't wound up. It shows what his true behavior is. And oftentimes, a truly dangerous dog, it takes hours to calm down, and the animal control officer cannot at all get close to the dog. What happened was serious, and my clients are here tonight because we're all taking it serious. I represent responsible pet owners who make sure that they're going to be better tomorrow than they are today. They've engaged the training services of the Happy Retriever. And the Happy Retriever, Brittany Suarez is their lead trainer there. She has come out and met with the family and the dog for an hour and a half and did an evaluation. They've already had one session with her. On Monday, the dog is going for a 10-day overnight board and train with her. They've purchased a basket muzzle, which is the recommended muzzle for a dog like Atlas. They also have purchased a 3-foot leash. They also are making certain that they have insurance after this matter. So just in case, they'll have, per the statute, they'll have insurance in place. Atlas has already been neutered. And well, they no longer take Atlas to the park they were at. They no longer walk Atlas off leash. And they're committed to making this right. This dog being its first offense, the dog and the owners deserve a second chance here. We heard what ifs, and people are afraid, fear for their life, and what if, but what is that this woman was bitten on her leg as Atlas was going for her dog. That's what is. You can't guard against all the what ifs, but we can do everything we can with the tools available to make sure this incident doesn't happen again. This may not matter to the board, but I don't take every dangerous dog case that comes to me. I need to vet these owners, and if I don't think they get it, I'm not going to put my support behind them. I am convinced that they get it. I've spent hours talking to them. They're extremely diligent, and when they had the opportunity to speak to Ms. Conway, they really would have expressed this, but once she got a lawyer, and they did try that, but she wasn't home or didn't answer the door. Once they got a lawyer, this dog, for what it did that day on February 11th, should be deemed dangerous. I think that it fits the definition of a dangerous dog for what happened that day. Prior to that, he didn't, and since then he didn't, but the way the law reads is for that day and for what this board has to decide, he should be considered a dangerous dog. And we think that the remedies of the muzzle, the leash, and not being off leash, and not going to this dog park or this park again, we should see that this is not going to happen again. Plus, making sure they have insurance in place, in addition to the training. So this training is going to be extensive and expensive, and we're just asking that, in light of what happened to Ms. Conway, that they be given a chance to make sure this doesn't happen again.